Diaries of a Madman. By What Must I Do? Chapter 199. Part 4 of 5. In the next scene, we found ourselves standing under a relatively small magical shield. Luna, Twilight, Cot, Gord, and Watcher were all standing under it, facing each other. Surrounding them was a thin evergreen forest, which I assumed was the tree thing acting up. If I had to guess, I'd say they were using the shield for privacy. "It's time for an emergency meeting," Watcher said. "And I'd like to start with the first point on the agenda. Where is Our Lady?" "Nav is back on the second chance," Twilight said. "She returned with Taya almost immediately after getting back to the deck. I just left her there, after a quick stop on the changeling ship," Gord said. "She mentioned something about Aqua taking her over." "What happened?" "That statement explains itself," Luna replied. "That errant machine invaded Our Lady and subverted her will." "You say Our Lady," Cot said. "If it wasn't for Aqua, you wouldn't be a vassal either." "My oath has been made. Until she relieves me, my services will be at her disposal." "That isn't important right now," Twilight said. "Luna's experience might be valuable here, regardless. So, who trusts the water elementals now?" Nobody moved a muscle. "I think everyone here would have the same reaction. Something has to be done." "Exactly how long has Aqua been in Nav?" Gord asked. "Since right before Nav left for Griffiths," Watcher said. "We've been with her for about a week now and none of us noticed." "I didn't notice either," Twilight quietly said, looking down. "Me, the best mare for her. And I was even around her longer." "We all failed her," Luna said. "Feeling guilt is natural. However, we must use that guilt as motivation to better ourselves and how we serve. When Nav justly blames us for failing her, we must swear to make amends however necessary." "She won't be doing anything like that," Cot said. "Nav isn't that kind of lady. Besides, all of the blame for this goes squarely on Aqua. I'm disappointed that none of us were able to help Nav, but how could you detect someone who knows how to act exactly like the original? I've been fooled by more than one body double in the past. The blame game is unnecessary at this point," Watcher said. "I'm with Twilight. I don't trust the elementals. We need a way of detecting and removing them." "Is that kind of thing possible with magic?" "I know a spell that detects foreign entities in someone's body," Luna said. "The main problem is that it was designed for a type of intelligent burrowing leech. I'm not sure if it would detect something inorganic like an elemental." "Give me a copy of the spell the next time you get a chance," Twilight said. "I'll see if I can tweak it. I wouldn't be surprised if there are other, similar spells for diseases or parasites. Our medic might also be able to help." "That doesn't really solve the problem, though," Gord said. "Why did Aqua invade Nav? And perhaps more importantly, could there be anyone else who's infected like that?" "Aqua was apparently corrupted by Discord's evil crystals," Luna said. "Or at least, according to Our Lady. Aqua also took over Celestia, so it's entirely possible that other elementals have made other hosts. I believe it wise to exterminate them all immediately. After one of their own was caught, it's likely they're worried about their own fates and will do something desperate. Better that we preempt it and just massacre them." "That isn't our choice to make," Watcher said. "Until Nav declares otherwise, the elementals are our allies. One of those allies just happened to be a traitor. You don't have to trust allies to get along with them, you just have to have a good enough reason to work together. But right now, something needs to be done. You don't have to trust your allies, but if you're ever in a position where you have to distrust them, there's a huge problem. Whenever Nav recovers, we need to have a talk about what to do to repair relations, if such a thing can even be done anymore." "So, what are we gonna do about Nav?" Cod asked. "I didn't even get to see her after Aqua was removed. I didn't want to let her leave my sight," Twilight quietly said. She looked so lost and tired. I'm almost positive she just collapsed on her bed to stare at the wall. For now, we let her do just that, Watcher said. I'm sure she's exhausted. Once she gets back on her feet, I say we just continue as normal. Our Lady always hates when we try discussing things like this, especially so soon after they happened. If she wants to talk about it, she'll bring it up. That means she'll never talk about it, Gord said. At least, not unless she just wants to scare someone in the middle of a conversation later. Forcing her to talk about it would be worse than not talking about it at all, Luna said. The most I would recommend doing is offering to discuss her feelings. Doing more right now might be suicidal. Agreed, Watcher said. She's been mentally battered too much. Our Lady absolutely needs some time to settle her thoughts. That said, I don't think she needs to be alone at all until she calms down. Flo is back in her mind, Twilight said. So she definitely won't do anything dumb. Before she returned to the ship, she asked me to investigate the power source for the shield using the changeling ship. I won't be able to watch over her until I get that settled. I'll be heading into the bunker very soon, Watcher said. I was hoping Kot and Luna would both join me. If Nav left without asking anyone to join her, it's because she wanted time away from everyone, Kot quietly said. As much as I yearn to comfort her, I know practical results regarding the bunker will please her more. My presence likely would not act as a bomb for Our Lady, Luna said. Especially since Nav is now aware it was not her own choice to make me a vassal. That said, since Aqua's other choice was allowing Taya to change into a tree sister, leaving Nav alone with Taya also seems unwise. I'll be returning to the ship shortly, Gord said. I'll have someone wait on the other side of Nav's door in case she needs anything. As much as I'd like to help, I think anything I try would make things worse. Absolutely, you stay away from Our Lady, Kot said with a nod. As if you're really one to talk. I'll return to the ship by morning to be by her side. It'll be night soon, so she'll likely be sleeping by the time you even get back. For the rest of us, let's please Our Lady with results, Watcher said. It's time to finally break ground into the bunker itself. Be careful down there, Twilight said. Nav's stories about the other bunker were beyond scary, and she apparently didn't even tell us everything. The local nanomachines revealed there actually are spirits down there. That's why we're bringing Zecora, Luna, and your brother, Watcher said. Between the three of them, spirits would think twice about approaching us if they were actually capable of thinking. I was originally pessimistic about our chances at the zone, but I'm incredibly impressed by the results. We even happened to find the exact thing Our Lady needed to get free. I told you doubting her was a waste of time, Gord said with a smug grin, as though he actually contributed to our success. Our lovely lady can lead us through anything. Take care not to put her on too high of a pedestal, Luna said. That road only leads to heartbreak. Now, I believe this meeting has finished its purpose. Shall we begin following our orders? Right, of course, Twilight said. The shield around them popped and everything went grey. Well, it looks like they're learning, I said. Kot was a little pushy that morning, but none of them were too invasive. Which is, of course, one of the takeaways, Payne said. Why are you here? Taya asked. Shouldn't Mommy have felt nothing but relief? Not quite, I said. I knew Aqua had done things that would have tremendous consequences. Even though I was finally free, I was so scared and depressed that I didn't know what else to do but fall into bed. Being cuddled by my newly minted Eternifili certainly didn't help, either. I do remember that you seemed awfully sad, Taya quietly said. Even having Aqua invade you in such a way left a lasting mark, Fear said. Payne giggled and started toying with one of Fear's wings. You will forever live in fear that you're only seeing an illusion. To be honest, I'm more afraid of what Discord has planned for me than I am of still being under Aqua's control. Being turned into a royal whore is better than being Discord's wife. Anyway, it's not a productive line of thinking, so let's get back to the takeaways. Is there no reason this time? Of course there was no reason for what happened to you, Payne said. Nothing you can blame it on other than corruption. That's why you can't even truly feel angry at Aqua anymore. You're right, I said. I want to hate her, but now that she's clear of corruption, letting her live free is out of the question, but how long would I really want to keep a slave around, anyway? I'm glad we decided to kill her. You need to learn to let the anger and hate flow through you, Taya said. Emotions can be an amazing force in magic, when used correctly. I figured magic would require a calm mind, I said. For most unicorns, sure, Taya said with a shrug. But when you learn the right casting techniques, emotions become your strength. I usually use the exhilaration I feel from smashing an enemy as fuel for magic, giving me more and more power as the fight goes on. But if I'm ever mad, rage is pretty fun to use as a catalyst. Well, without a soul, it's pointless for me to try, I said. Once I get that, I can start attempting to learn magic. Until then, Athena said I won't be able to do it. Anyway, the first takeaway is that my followers are finally starting to learn how to serve me. Instead of being too close and personal, they've backed off. They finally realize I'd rather them follow orders than waste time trying to pointlessly cheer me. Isn't that kinda cold, though? Fear asked. Don't you think you should start accepting whatever emotional assistance they can give you instead of trying to keep to yourself forever? They have all kinds of life experiences, so it's possible they can find some way to cheer your gloomy ass up. That's true, I slowly said. I really don't like talking about my problems, but it seems obvious at this point that letting everything fester inside is worse. I might give it a try later on one of them that isn't gored. You could also give it a try with your favorite filly, Taya sweetly said. But burdening my filly with my concerns would make me a failure of a parent, I said. Is that what would make you a failure of a parent? Payne asked. I thought it might have been something like calling her a cuddle slut or turning her into a vicious attack filly. Nobody asked you, Taya said, sticking her tongue out at the caught look-alike. Let's just say that a lot of things could play a role, I said. So, what's the next takeaway? Your followers distrust the water elementals, Fear said. And I don't think being freed of corruption helped much. For everyone's peace of mind, you need to find some way to alleviate their fears. Agreed, I said. There's gotta be a way to detect if an elemental is in someone, or prevent them from entering somebody entirely. Not like it's gonna matter for you, right? Payne said. After all, Flo is gonna be with you forever and ever. But for everyone else, I'm sure Flo would volunteer as a test subject, I said. It's not like just detecting her would have any risk. If they can detect water that pure, finding anyone corrupted enough to invade someone should be a snap. So why did you start calling her pure, anyway? Taya asked. Because I knew Aqua was corrupt and saying it annoyed her, I said. Flo seemed to enjoy it as well, so I kept doing it. Do you think the elementals are threats, Taya? Honestly, not anymore. I think seeing what Aqua did shocked all of them, even before Jonathan fixed them. I don't think any of the rest would do something like this. I'm inclined to agree, but Watcher is right, I said. We do have reason to distrust them. There is a clear imbalance of power between what the elementals can do to us and what we can do to them. Until that balance can be even marginally improved, things likely won't get better. Finding a way to detect them inside of a person is the first step. That makes sense, of course, Taya said. I don't think they'll do anything else, but it's better to be safe than sorry, right? Let's plan all the countermeasures we can, and hope that all the planning doesn't go to waste if our minds ever get subverted. That's my filly, I said, scratching one of her ears. She giggled and perked up slightly. The last takeaway is fairly simple, Fear said. You made Luna's position very clear to the mayor herself, but you haven't done so to the rest of your household. It would be wise to inform everyone that though Luna wasn't a vassal you planned for, she's a vassal you intend to keep. Hearing Luna's voice talking about herself like that is still strange, even now. That's an announcement I can make to everyone when I get out, I said with a nod. I know Luna was worrying about it, before. I doubt she cares what the others think, but it would be better if they learned to work with her instead of just hoping I'll get rid of her soon. Dealing with her going forward is certainly going to be an experience. I was against it at first, but she grew on me, Taya said. I still don't really like her, but the attack on the bunker proved how useful she'll be. And I guess if I can live with Kot, I can live with Luna. Good. With luck, we start dealing with her craziness soon. Then she'll be a lot more likable, I'm sure. Another thing to note is that there might be resistance to this, Fear said. Celestia didn't seem to like the idea of Luna staying your vassal. Well, Celestia isn't the one who got tortured and raped, I said. If Luna wants to be kept under my thumb, I'll keep her there and work her to the bone. In the end, I'll still be treating her better than Oldvalscha ever did. I hope I'm never capable of being that cruel to someone who's actually loyal to me. What about that time you called Kot crazy in front of everyone and listed off all of her emotional baggage like it was nothing, then casually sent her away on a bullshit annoyance task so she could cry while you didn't have to watch? The guide asked. I didn't send her away to cry, I sent her away to compose herself, I quietly replied. And that's still remarkably better than telling Kot that her life is her fault, especially if I had actually been the one directly or indirectly responsible for all the bad things that happened to her. Wait, what now? Taya asked. I got to see Celestia say that to Luna in one of these visions, I said. It was after Luna had confessed everything she did to me and was in prison. Celestia ordered her to escape. Luna tried to resist, but Celestia threatened to murder me if Luna didn't run. In the end, Celestia told Luna something along the lines of your life is your fault. Well, I mean, wasn't Luna the one who did all those horrible things to you? Taya asked. That's certainly true, I said. But you're missing the bigger picture. Luna's basically the same as Aqua, a victim of a higher power corrupting her. Just as Discord's crystals warped Aqua's programming, 5,000 years of Celestia's dark deeds, abuse, and betrayal drove Luna mad. Spending 1,000 years on the moon didn't help. What happened to me probably could have happened to anyone, I just got unlucky enough to be the person she fixated on. So, while I do blame Luna for what she did to me, I ultimately blame Celestia, who made her that way, more. After all, I'm not Luna's only victim, though I may have had it worse than most others. Wait, she had other boy toys? Taya asked. As far as I know, I'm the only one she's had since she got back, I said. But apparently anyone she had her sights on almost immediately became terrified of her. From what Celestia said in another vision, one of the guys complained so much that the courts invented restraining orders. Celestia knew all of that and didn't warn you? Taya slowly asked. There was a period of time in which I honestly thought Celestia was going to kidnap me and give me to Luna, I said. It wasn't until she started learning how valuable I was that she realized giving me to Luna would be a waste. To be honest, if she was prepared to kill me in order to make Luna leave, I'm really surprised she didn't just kidnap me then and make her take me with her. No, she couldn't have gotten away with that, Payne said. Think about it in terms of the overall situation. One day, Luna confesses in front of a ton of reporters about how she did a lot of bad things to you. The next day, she's in prison. The day after that, the two of you disappear at the same time. And only the two of you. It's one thing if the evil rapist princess escapes. It's another thing if she escapes and kidnaps the national hero who is the target of her perverse desires. Celestia wouldn't be able to ignore calls for action over that. Right, I keep forgetting I'm a national hero in Equestria, I said. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Plus, Cadance would have raised all kinds of hell at that point. In fact, I think Twilight and her friends might have gone up in arms, too. Anyway, we got off subject. I'll make Luna's position as a vassal clear to everyone when I get out. You'll need to practice riding her more, Fear said. I'm sure the streets of Canterlot would give you plenty of good places for it. You can't head to Tartarus without a proper understanding of your battle mount, after all. I'm sure Luna would be delighted, Taya said. But you probably shouldn't do that. Or at least, I think. You think correctly, I said. First, that Luna would be delighted. And second, that I definitely shouldn't do that. Making an ex-princess a vassal is one thing. Riding her in public is another. Hell, riding any pony in public would feel weird. Although most of them are hard to ride normally, since they're so short. How is riding a pony in public worse than rubbing their belly in public? Fear asked. Both are actions that treat them like an animal, are they not? Humans are animals, too, I said. And we have all kinds of places that feel good when rubbed. You don't call it treating them like an animal when you do it, though. Ponies are adorable, fuzzy little critters that happen to look extremely similar to another group of less adorable, fuzzy little critters that I used to take care of. But you know what? The only time I ever rubbed a pony's belly before I came to Equestria was when I had to brush them. You know why? Because I really didn't like doing it. Worse, I really didn't like farm animals in general, horses and cows in particular. And that dislike followed me here. But now that I'm mostly over it, I've found that rubbing the bellies of sapient ponies is fun. That doesn't mean I'd rub a non-sapient pony's belly, because farm animals are gross. What did horses and cows ever do to you? Taya slowly asked. When I first got to Equestria, I had all kinds of minor medical problems, all caused by dangerous large farm animals, I said. None of them individually were much, but all of them together made my body ache basically no matter what I did, though stretching usually helped. Luna hit me with some super powerful healing spell shortly after I got here that fixed most of it, and that was when I really started warming up to the ponies. Unfortunately, she ruined it by being a psychopath and I started hating everything again. Then a filly happened, followed by a persistent purple menace, followed by a flood of other faces, and now I don't hate everything anymore. Just, most things. So, if that was the last takeaway, are we done here? Wait, I had one more question, Taya said. So if you think it's fine to rub a pony's belly in public, what's wrong with riding them in public? Assuming they consent to it, you're not treating them like an animal, they're just helping you get from point A to point B, right? I mean, I still don't think you should ride an ex-princess around in front of everyone, but I don't know if anyone else would even care. I don't care if anyone else would be bothered, I said. I would feel awkward, so I'm not going to do it. It feels too domineering, I guess. I don't want the ponies to know that I look down on them. I don't think anyone's fooled at this point, but I still want to try to hide it. We all know we're fighting an uphill battle, Taya said. It only bothered me at the start. Then I realized you really were superior and that I truly had to work if I wanted to be able to keep up with you. That's why I devoted myself to being your attack filly. If I know you'll look down on me no matter what, I at least have to be useful. Well, there went what was left of my heart. I guess I deserved to have it shattered into pieces. Taya, I don't look down on my daughters. Yeah, and you didn't consider me a real daughter for ages, right? You just thought of me as that annoying filly you couldn't get rid of that forced herself into your life. It wasn't until I started being useful that you started paying attention, right? That was coincidental. I said. I stopped being as shitty when I got Flo in me. That is why I started improving as a parent, not because you started being useful. It just so happened that I got Flo in my head right around when your magic skills were starting to shine, so it may have appeared that way. Taya, if there is anyone in this god-forsaken world I've been forced into that I could never look down on, it's you. After all, you were the first person I met aside from my sister who was not only willing to put up with me, but actually seemed to like doing it. My personality has always been deranged, to say the least. And you know what, Taya? You're fucked up too, just like me. I certainly can't and won't tell you that's a good thing. But I will tell you that I'm glad that I found you, because I'm one of the few people who's capable of appreciating your deranged mind. That annoying filly recognized your deranged mind sooner than you recognized hers, Taya smugly said. That's why I got the drop on you, and got Celestia to give you to me. And now my deranged mind is yours forever and ever, mommy. My guide finally cleared her throat. You are, without a doubt, the worst parent ever, she calmly said. Oh yeah. I scoffed. At least she's not teen pregnant. Now let's keep this gravy train rolling. Come on, chop chop. Her eyes lit up as they rolled, finally sending us forward to the next scene. We appeared on top of the round table. Everyone was still there except me and Luna. At the moment, they were all staring where I had been sitting. Before anyone else could move, Aqua fled the scene. I don't know if she wanted to avoid everyone seeing her in bimbo mode or if she just wanted to catch up with her owner. If I had to guess, I'd say the former. Brooke followed right behind her, presumably to babysit Aqua. After a moment, Moonbeam sighed and said, I guess I have no reason to remain after all. Then I have a question before I leave. How can Navarone go from discussing the most amazing plans I've ever heard for advancing technology decades, along with plans for rebuilding the world using a brainwashed Celestia, to throwing a hissy fit and leaving in a huff? Did getting invaded by Aqua truly affect her so much? Yes, Twilight quietly said. I don't think I've ever seen her that bad before. So why is that machine still alive, then? Fleur asked. Is it solely because she controls Celestia? I've given up even trying to think about why Nav does anything, Shiny said. One day she'll kill someone she should have spared and then the next day she'll spare someone who probably should have been killed. I really don't get it. Wait, really? Gilda said. Aside from Aqua, when has Nav ever spared anyone? I thought she was essentially merciless. Oh, I've had to clean up after her a few times, Shiny said. Not only does she spare them, she'll sometimes even just let them go. I had to track one stallion through 3 towns when Nav let him go after an attack in Canterlot. And I had to track down a mercenary after Nav spared him and let him leave the scene of a crime, Blossom said. Since the dog was smart enough not to try his luck against Nav, he didn't actually break any laws aside from trespassing, but he still should have been kept for questioning. I believe I keep a few of those Nav has spared as food pets, Mooney said with a warm smile. She's been quite generous with her contributions, though I'm not sure she realizes it herself. She's sent me pirates who attacked the wrong ship, career criminals who worked in the wrong city and the wrong mine, political prisoners who bought and read the wrong human books, and even a few Naga and cat prisoners of war that Celestia rounded up. Nav truly is a saint for sparing all those poor souls, isn't she? Everyone seemed disgusted by that. Some of them were better about hiding it than others, but even Cadance's usual princess-like smile was straining. It's a shame I didn't get to talk more with her. It's even more of a shame that she left because of the childish outbursts of my rivals. Alas! Now that this meeting is over, I must return to my kingdom. After all, the life of a queen is ever busy. Farewell for now. She stood, her horn lit up, and the lovely bug queen vanished. Pest, Princess Gilda muttered. Anyway, Nav truly was affected by what Aqua did, Twilight said. Even now, I haven't had a chance to talk to Nav about it. I honestly don't know what to do. Did you hear about what Aqua did to Taya? Wait, Nav wasn't the only one affected. Fleur asked. Aqua was inside of Nav for about 2 weeks, Blossom said. A lot can happen in 2 weeks. One of Taya's dreams was to be immortal, just like her mother, Twilight said, looking down. She found out how, and asked Nav for permission while Aqua was inside of him. Aqua forced Nav to say yes. So, right now, Taya has the same immortality that Nav does. Oh no, Blossom whispered, her eyes going wide. Taya, she actually did it. She didn't become a Vampani, Twilight said. Taya became a tree sister, which is an amalgamation of a tree and an animal. That's the same kind of existence that Nav is, now. They even used the same type of tree as a base. That's still bad though, right? Fleur asked. Fillies shouldn't become immortal. Yeah, that's a terrible thing, Shiny said. He finally looked over at his wife, who had been silent. She looked, utterly terrified. Honey, are you okay? Please tell me it's reversible, Cadance whispered. Not as far as I know, Twilight said with a sigh. The source of her knowledge also didn't know of a way to revert. Like becoming a Vampani, it appears permanent. If you can't come back from the dead, you can't come back from being a tree, Blossom said. Makes sense, I guess. But still, a filly? What was Aqua thinking? To make Nav look bad? Fleur asked. Bingo, Twilight said. Aqua also mentioned that Taya would be a permanent hostage to keep Nav in line forever. Plus, apparently matching their outfits would have been fantastic. I hope Nav will let me borrow Aqua for a few experiments, Gilda coldly said. Why did it have to be Taya? Cadance finally wailed, before slamming her head on the table in frustration. Given that the table was made out of solid crystal, it probably hurt like hell. Because that's Nav's filly. Shiny said. Wait, would you prefer this happen to Eva and the others? Day. Cadance shouted, shooting right back off the table. Taya's super powerful, super scary, and keeping her in filly mode forever is just gonna make her worse and worse. Especially when she realizes how awful being a filly forever is and starts getting angry about it. At least Eva is cute because she wants to be, not because it gives her an advantage over others. Do you really hate Taya that much? Twilight slowly asked. Of course I don't hate her, Cadance quickly replied. But tell me she's not scary. Tell me she doesn't creep you out sometimes. Tell me that if you had to pick any filly in the world to never, ever make immortal, Taya wouldn't be the first one on your list. She needs to grow and mature. This. No wonder Nav is in so much pain right now. This truly is a disaster. With that, her head slowly sank back down to the table. Taya's behavior certainly is unique, Fleur said. Nav will need our help more than ever going forward. Aqua was also the reason Luna is a vassal, right? Blossom said. How did that come about? Aqua already owned Celestia, Twilight said. Making Luna into Nav's vassal gave her the other sister. Once Nav and Celestia were married, Aqua's power would be cemented. I honestly thought the trip to the bunker sounded like a waste of time, Cadance said. I mean, before Nav, I hadn't even heard of humans. I figured there was no way any of their relics would remain. But she went and she found the one human relic she needed to save herself. Hey? Talk about a true chosen one. She hates it when you call her that, Twilight said. You need to invite Nav to a formal party and introduce her as the chosen one, Princess of the Dragons, and Defender of Harmony. I thought we were looking for ways to cheer her up, not piss her off, Shiny said. Nav enjoys being angry, Twilight said. That's why she does her best to contain herself. But if we can deliver small doses of rage to her in bite-sized quantities, it just might help cheer her up. That sounds counterintuitive, Fleur said. I think I'd rather search for ways to make her happy, instead. TCH, good luck, Twilight bitterly replied. Cadance and I have been searching for years. We don't have much to show for it. The hardest part will probably be getting Nav to actually agree to do something. No, manipulating her is easy, Fleur said. We need to search for ways to make Taya happy, too. As rivals for Nav, she is a common obstacle we must both tackle, one way or another. Perhaps I can teach you how to manipulate Nav in exchange for information on Taya. That won't be necessary, Cadance said. I spent a while living with her, too, and I'll be happy to tell you everything I know for free. Despite what I said, I don't hate or even dislike Taya. But for one, Nav wasn't a good parent, even by human standards. 2. Taya wasn't the ideal filly. And 3. Whatever problems they both have seem to mesh so well that leaving them together forever just seems like something we should work to avoid. To that end, we need to find things that Taya can enjoy. Once she has hobbies, finding friends will be easier. I'm not sure if that will really be good for an immortal filly, but at least it'll give her some time away from Nav where she can develop more. Nav stunts that filly just by being around. I think they both realize it, but neither care. Nav definitely notices and she does care, Twilight said. She just isn't sure how to do anything about it, since Taya rarely wants to leave her side. Right now, she's enrolled at the tower in Canterlot. I think it'll be a good experience for her. Is that really going to be a good experience for her? Cadance asked. I mean, how many ponies her age can do the kind of magic that she does? Wait, how many ponies can do the kind of magic that she does? Gilda quickly asked. I thought the ones around Nav were the exception. That's an even better point, Cadance said. Taya isn't just powerful for a filly, she's powerful, period. Is sending someone that powerful at her age to those vipers really wise? Do you know how there's a ruling council of 7 mages that rule the tower? Fleur asked. Everyone nodded. Navarone helped reduce that number to 4. The mages at that tower aren't dumb enough to do a thing to her filly. They know her friends are too powerful. Wait, Nav was involved in that? Blossom asked. I'm the captain of the guard and I hadn't even heard that. I happened to be one of the last to see 2 of those 3 alive, Fleur said. They appeared at Nav's party before you arrived, only to never be seen again. Everyone at the tower knows where they were going, but only a few know why. And now, everyone knows the last place they were seen was Nav's house. And then one of the missing 3 appeared outside of Nav's house with no ear and a missing horn, then walked all the way across Canterlot to the tower, sobbing the whole way. It didn't help that she was accompanied by a smiling Cod and an annoyed Taya. Needless to say, nobody at the tower is going to do a thing. Or perhaps it's more accurate to say they've been terrified into submission. Why did Nav murder 2 of the 7 and D-ear and D-horn a third? Cadance slowly asked. She didn't, Twilight groaned. Athena and Hera did. Do you all know about the pocket dimension that Nav and I found in a book? Everyone nodded again. It was originally inhabited by a human mage named Athena. The unicorns at the tower had another pocket dimension book. That book was inhabited by another human mage named Hera, who moved into Athena's book. Athena seems relatively friendly and hard to rile. Hera seemed extremely friendly, at first. She's also extremely quick to anger and when she gets mad, she does terrible things to people. Both of them were beings of legend and myth back in Nav's time, and the legends that she heard match up, at least somewhat, with how they behave. Terrible as in pranks or terrible as in murder and dehorning, her brother quietly asked. Murder and dehorning, obviously. They're both tremendously powerful, so there's nothing we can do about either. Nav was the one who made the choice to let the 7 use the book. She can be the one who deals with the consequences for being the one who led 3 of them to their doom. She's also the one in charge of the book, and I plan for it to stay that way and not go back much anymore. Nav offered to introduce me, Gilda said. I'm glad I declined. She didn't mention the murders or the dehorning. Why would she do that? Fleur asked. Part of why I enjoy talking with Navi so much is because it's just like a puzzle. You have to decipher what she really means based off the limited information she gives you. I bet she mentioned something about how they were hard to get along with, right? She may have mentioned something like that, I think. See there? Fleur said. Catching Nav in a lie is almost impossible because she words things in such a way that she lies without lying, if that makes sense. It makes perfect sense, Gilda sighed. Nav's word games and deflections can go all day. Nailing her down and forcing her to actually discuss some things is nearly impossible, as we all just witnessed. Talking with her certainly keeps you on the tips of your hooves, Twilight sarcastically said. She'll do whatever it takes to throw you off, even if it requires gross information about your family. Shiny awkwardly cleared his throat and looked away. Yes, I know all about that. His face lit up bright red. Yes, and that too, unfortunately. Cadance started snickering, so Shiny groaned and teleported away, too. Maybe teleporting away is just a guy thing. Blossom said, tilting her head. I mean, Nav used to be a guy, right? No, Moonbeam did it, too, Cadance said. And while she can be a guy, she wasn't originally one. She was right, though, being royalty is busy. I'm going to need to return to my throne soon. Please, don't let us keep you, Fleur said, finally standing. Blossom joined her a moment later. I believe Nav wouldn't mind if we rode back on the same airship. The journey to Canterlot shouldn't even take a full day from here, right? That's right, Twilight said, also standing. You'll need to make a short stop in Griffiths, but it should still only take a few hours to get back to Canterlot. Since all the plebeians were on their feet, the two princesses could finally rise. I didn't bring much, but I'll need to pack what little I have, Gilda said. I'm not quite sure how to get to the airship from my room, though. I'll have a servant guide you, Cadance said. The inside of this palace is a nightmare if you aren't used to it. And I need to hurry to make it to the teleport circle, Twilight said. I don't want Nav to get even more annoyed and wipe Celestia without me. Luckily I know where it is, so. Goodbye for now, everyone. I'll see most of you soon. Her horn lit up and she vanished. With that, the memory finally went grey. There's a lot to mull over, there, I said, finally looking down at my filly. She was staring dead at Cadance with a small, somewhat unnerving smile. Taya, do you have anything to say about this one? Why yes, Mommy. I have quite a lot to say about it, in fact. I think I might prefer to say some of it to a certain Pinkalicorn instead, though. Oh, good, she's actually calm and wants to talk. Although I might use my horn midway through to finish the conversation, this is what I get for making her an attack filly. You're not allowed to attack Cadance, I said. I'm also not really sure how to approach a lot of people after this coma. I've heard conversations I was never meant to hear. But seeing what someone says at one point in time doesn't give you the full picture. I don't need the full picture to know she was being mean. Taya shouted. I may be too scary and too powerful, but I have feelings, too. I thought Cadance was my friend. I thought she would be happy for me. Why did you think anyone would be happy for you? She was acting this way because she's concerned about you, I said. Although she might just be concerned about everyone else. You did a very alarming thing, Taya. It's natural for people who care about you to be surprised and react strangely. Though yes, she was being a little too harsh. After the mean stuff, she was talking about ways to make you happy, right? Only so I wouldn't go crazy and hurt anyone. Taya, do you understand why everyone is so concerned about you? I ask. Have the risks of what you've done sunk in yet? I'm gonna be dealing with the same risks as you, Mommy, Taya said. The only difference is that I actually chose this fate. I don't understand why everyone feels worse for me than they do for you. Because you're younger than I was when I got transformed. Your mind hasn't had as long to mature. But you're right, the fact that you chose this fate might be of some comfort. I just have a really bad feeling you're going to come to regret this decision. Being seen and treated like a filly might be fun now, but I imagine it'll quickly lose its luster. Besides, I did consider the consequences, Taya said. And I knew I'd have you there to help me deal with them, since you're the best mommy ever. That's definitely true. And despite what some may say, I've definitely matured at least a little since my change. It's possible you actually will keep growing. I was already as tall as I was gonna get, so all my changes would be internal. If I kept growing, it would be pointless. Taya replied. I wanna be your eternifily, not just your eterna daughter. It sounds a whole lot like the risks haven't sunk into her yet. Well, we'll just have to wait and see. We will talk to Cadance, but you will keep your horn sheathed. I don't think sheathed is the right word, Taya said. Yet, but I don't know what the right word is and you understood what I was getting at, so it's good enough, I replied, reaching down to pat her back. Now then, what kind of takeaways do we have here? This time, 3 of the specters appeared before us. Hope was wearing a cute grin, Pride instantly went for a high five that I happily met, and Reason just stood there staring at us. The first one was a little hidden in the conversation and you may have missed it, Reason said. Moonbeam mentioned that some of the changeling love slaves are prisoners who read the wrong human books. I thought Celestia didn't let you publish the wrong books, Taya said. Or did she change her mind about some after the fact? I had a secret publisher, I quietly said. I went out of my way to find them while wearing my ring and took an effort to never write anything down about them. All of that was an attempt to hide them from Celestia. I guess my efforts were in vain. Say, how many people do you think you've ruined? Pride asked. Your numbers gotta be getting high enough to be proud of, right? I'm sure most of them probably deserved it. I didn't force them to buy those books, I said. The publishers in question are quite literally rebels against Celestia. The people who get books from them know what happens if they get caught with them. Wait, you were working with rebels? Taya shouted. Why didn't you tell me? Because I knew you would get all excited about it and run off to join them or something, I said. Besides, they're really lame. Before I met them, all they did was hold meetings and occasionally prank people in power. Even after I taught them how to run a propaganda network, they never tried taking it any further. Celestia knew about them, obviously, our guide said. There's absolutely nothing better than an inept resistance. Letting you get involved and teaching them a little more only increased their value, since their propaganda was easily traceable. All you did by training them and giving them those secret books was give Celestia an easy source of political prisoners. Well, forgive me for trying to make the world a less dystopian place, I quietly said. And is that something you know, or something you assume? It's knowledge from your elementals, the guide replied. Aqua thought you should be reminded that actions have consequences, even actions you thought in your heart were righteous. Was trying to do something really worse than sitting back and doing nothing? I asked, looking down. I didn't want anyone to get hurt, but it's just a book. You can't be blamed for what Celestia does, Hope said. You may have given them the idea of using love poison, but you explicitly suggested they use violent criminals. You may have been the one that wrote the books, but Celestia is the one who arrested them for reading the books. And Celestia is the one who chose to give them to Moonbeam. Besides, not everybody who read those books was arrested. Fancy Pants and Fleur were just fine. I mean, can't we just rescue them? Taya asked. It probably won't make up for being turned into pets for so long, but it's better than living the rest of their life there. That's already arranged for, the guide said. All non-violent prisoners that had been given to the changelings are being returned to pony prisons. It'll be difficult for Nulscha to just release them immediately, but she does have plans in motion already. She's doing more to make the place less dystopian than you ever could. Hey, I'm 20% responsible for her, I said. That means I get credit for at least a fifth of what she does. How did you come up with that number? Taya asked. At the round table, 5 of us voted to brainwash Celestia, I replied. I was one of them. That makes me 1/5 responsible. There were a lot more than 5 people there, Taya said. Was the vote really that close? It was, I said. Luna, Brooke, Fleur, Moonbeam, and I voted to brainwash Celestia. Twilight, Cadance, Captain Blossom, and Princess Gilda voted to kill her. A part of me is still expecting to regret this down the line, but I knew in the short term, keeping her alive would be the best choice. Anyway, the first takeaway is super depressing. But knowing that Celestia is fixing it makes me feel a lot better. So what's the next? Everyone wants to make the 2 of you happy, but no one knows how, Reason said. Unfortunately, that also includes yourselves. Perhaps spending most of your lives locked away was unwise. Would it have killed you to give more things a try? I gave a bunch of things a try when I was in Ponyville, I said. Most of them were ruined by the company I was forced to share. I swear, that place has to be some kind of quarantine zone. The ponies there are just way too much. It is, technically, our guide said. Ponyville was one of Celestia's top secret eugenics projects. That's why the ponies there are so out of the ordinary. Twilight was sent as both a warden and an inmate. Damn it, so she beat me to eugenics. I said. Well, I guess Moonbeam beat us both, hey? I was really hoping I could use that as a mega project. So what's eugenics? Taya asked. A theoretical study of how to maximize a race through breeding. You know how originally there were just wolves, then over time they were bred for different purposes until they branched off into dozens of breeds? Imagine doing that with ponies, so you have some that are super strong, some that are great with magic, some that are incredibly intelligent, and stuff like that. There was a lot of talk about trying to do it with humanity, but dictators never lasted long enough to put it in motion. Democratic nations couldn't get away with it because it usually involved human rights violations. But given a few thousand years, I imagine I could achieve some interesting results with the right volunteers. And after a few hundred years, volunteers won't be an issue, because we can rework society to the point where it's considered a duty to spread your genes in an efficient manner. Let me stop you right there, Hope said. You can't really get away from this talk about the takeaway, Navi. You might as well stop running and get it over with. You actually have people you enjoy spending time with now. What's stopping you from doing it? Well, lately, it's been lack of time, I said. And I was kinda stuck on an airship for a while, where my options were limited. I guess I could always just train with more people. Aren't you also starting a school? Pride asked. That's gonna give you a lot of opportunities to do fun stuff. And you're going to war soon, Reason said. So that'll be a lot of fun, too. Yeah, my schedule's kinda full for a while, I said with a shrug. Keeping busy is a form of fun, right? Especially if the stuff you're busying yourself with is cool, like wiping out a group of assassins or dealing with some bounty hunters in China. Besides, isn't happiness overrated? Taya asked. I think I remember you saying that a few times. I might have, but I was just saying that out of desperation, I said. I do think we both need some more hobbies, though. Particularly things we can do with other people. I'm just not sure how much time we'll have to partake in them for a while. I guess that's something we can think about when we get out. I guess that makes sense, Taya said. Now that I have all the time in the world to get better at magic, I might as well slow down my pace a little. Like Cadance said, I'm already so powerful that it's scary. Plus, there's going to be less reason for us to fight going forward, hopefully, I said. As much as I'm starting to enjoy it, I now have the means to get people to fight for me. Although if we ever need any disposable shock troopers at the front line, you and I would head out in a heartbeat. I'd happily fight to the death to allow others a chance to retreat. Happily? Pride asked. I've always wanted to die anyway, I said with a shrug. Might as well go out doing something that looks super cool while also helping a bunch of people. And since I'd come back, it's technically only death with benefits, not real death. All the soldiers would be super stoked that the great lady of nature herself gave up one of her lives for them, so it would even be a huge reputation boost. It's an all-around win. It won't make for a good bonding experience, though, Taya said. Since, you know, we won't remember it. I'm pretty sure Flo could store and share the memories we lost, but I might be wrong, I said. I mean, she's fucked around with my memories before. I can't imagine she wouldn't have that capability. We could remember all the good parts and junk the rest. Besides, I keep journals for the important bits. Missing a week or two here or there probably won't kill us. Ha, I get it, Hope said. Since you'd only miss a week or two once you've been killed, right? Yep. So, what's the next takeaway? You terrified the tower into submission on accident, Pride said. 2 of their leaders are now dead and a third is mutilated, all after visiting your house. Then you include all the rumors about you, plus battling the Queen of Demons in their own front yard. Aside from the leaders who know about you, the rank and file are going to be quite worried. Good, I said with a smile. Hopefully it'll still be that way when I'm ready to collect on their debt. What debt? Taya asked. They told me they'd give me their support for various projects if I brought them the book, I said. And I brought them the book. I'd like to get their support for all kinds of fun projects. Anything I can help with? Taya asked. I dunno, maybe. One thing I'm gonna set up is a transportation company that uses teleportation circles. If we ship all of our products instantly, we'd only need local couriers to get things where they need to be. To do that, I'll need more knowledge of teleportation circles. I'd also like help with my rune working projects. It's possible they know some runes that we don't, somehow. I have a lot of ideas bumping around in my head. I'm sure you'll be able to help with some of it, at least. Is it really okay to have a large group of people fearing you? Hope asked. Most of my experiences with those tower goons have been negative, I said. Plus, they used a comet to destroy a city. I don't think I mind too much if they're afraid of me. Especially since it means they'll be more careful about teaching my filly. Best mommy ever, Taya smugly said, cuddling up against my side. Yeah, I'm the bum diggity, I said, patting her head. If the tower guys are afraid of me, that's fine. What's the next one? The last takeaway involves your scarily powerful daughter, Reason said. Even alicorn princesses fear her. Let that serve as a warning. Hell, even her own mother fears her, if that tells you anything. Noted, I said. If that's it, I guess we can move on. Wait, are we not gonna discuss that? Taya asked. We already did. You said you were gonna work on being less scary. The only extra addition here is that now we know that even Cadance is afraid of you. All that means is we have a little bit more work to do. But it also means that the reward for making you less scary will be all the greater, since even more people will be surprised. I guess that's the optimistic way of looking at it, sure, Pride said. Fear is hard to cure, though. Assuming we survive Discord, we'll have all the time in the world, I said. Now then, shall we? End of part 4.